Today, I'm excited because I'm starting a new series for the Tech Talk Show where I'm going to be talking to people all across the world with awesome job roles. On today's episode, we're going to be talking to Craig Jahnke, who is a customer engineer at Microsoft. So, we're going to be learning what it means to be a customer engineer at Microsoft and all other cool stuff as well about Craig. And hopefully, Craig's story inspires you. Hi, welcome to 2022, and it's the first episode of the year. And today I'm joined by Craig. Hi, Craig, and welcome to the Tech Talk Show.
Hi, Kazeem. How's you doing today?
Very well, thank you. So, this is a new series of the Tech Talk, and I'm happy to have you as my first guest on the series, Craig. So, Craig, for people who don't know you, who is Craig and what do you do?
So I'm Craig Jahnke. I am a customer engineer at Microsoft. You may have previously known us as Premier Field Engineers, but about a year ago they changed the title on that and made us customer engineers to kind of fit in with the rest of the market. I guess that was to help the salespeople. But what I do or who I am is I help our customers use our products and I specifically focus on the M365 space, mostly SharePoint teams and some Power Apps. How much do you want me to tell you? You want me to go my background or how I got here?
That's fine. I think that brings me to my next question, Craig. One of the things that I love about the Microsoft people is that they are very passionate about their job and their role, right? And
yes,
yes, everybody knows that Microsoft is one of the dream places for people to work, right? So let's start with a bit of what you do now. You are the customer engineer at Microsoft, or you work as a customer engineer at Microsoft. So,
right.
so what does it mean to be a customer engineer at Microsoft? And what does your daily routine looks like at work?
That is an interesting question. There's a couple different flavors of what we do, but as a whole, we help our customers make it past roadblocks of using our products. I will either do training, so full on sessions of training, like a governance workshop or a Power Apps workshop on how to actually use Power Apps, how to implement governance for teams, or things like that. Occasionally, I will take phone calls. We call them phone advisories. So a customer just has some questions on how to do things. So I'll do those as a one-off, or I will work with my customers to plan on how they want to use it. So not so much like a consultant, not hands-on keyboard type things, but more of an advisory role on how to get the most out of the products that we're using. I say there's three different flavors because we've kind of changed it a little bit. It used to be what we call transactional. So just any kind of work that came in, I would help. Like if a customer needed this, they call their account manager and say, I need help with something with Teams. So the account manager looks over the pool of customer engineers and gets somebody to help them to answer that question or to do that training for them. We also have what's called dedicated. So I spend half my time with one of the large motor companies that's based out of Detroit. So, and I answer a lot of questions on SharePoint for them. So I'm specifically dedicated to them. So you get a mixture of that. But more recently, we moved to what's called a pod method, where I work with a group of other people. So I have another SharePoint person on my team and a couple Exchange people on my team and some people who are specifically focused on Microsoft Teams on our team. And then we have a group of 10 clients or customers that we work to help them either implement new features, new products, or just answer those one-off questions every once in a while. But hey, I need to do this, or this isn't working, those kind of things. So it's kind of interesting. It changes day to day. It's not ever the same thing. But that's it. I mean, primarily, I either have scheduled calls, kind of on a bi-weekly basis or weekly basis, depending on the customer, or I have workshops that are scheduled to be delivered.
So my next question, Craig, is just out of curiosity now. I'd like to know what is life like for you outside of your job at Microsoft. Do you want to share?
That is an interesting question because mine is probably different than some other people. So obviously I have family, so or not obviously, but I have a wife and two daughters, so I do a lot of stuff with them. Um, my daughters are in the like dance and plays and musicals, so I do a lot of those things, running them around there in their spare time. So um, a lot of that, a lot of family stuff. So that's really good. But the other thing is, I do a lot of community work. So I run a user group for Power Apps that meets every Wednesday of our third Wednesday or last Wednesday of the month. So I run that with a guy named Ralph Rivas. So we've been doing that out of Chicago. Meets the last Wednesday of the month. And then I also run a conference about every 6 months called M365 Chicago. I believe that you have spoken at it and are probably speaking at the next one. So that takes a little bit of my time up. I'm just organizing that and getting prepared for it. And then I do a lot of learning, or I not as much recently as I would like to, but a lot of studying on my own time to kind of keep up with what's going in technology. I think that's part of falls in the job and outside of your job at Microsoft, because you're expected to know kind of everything for your customers. So if you don't know it, it's okay to say I don't know it, but then you got to figure it out, right? So there's a lot of, and with IT in general over the last 10 years, the rate of change of the technology has just forced you to be in a constant learning mode.
My next question for you now is about your education and how it prepared you for what you're doing now. Here in Nigeria, it doesn't matter what people study at the university. You find people, for instance, studying languages at the university and they end up working as a banker, for instance. So I don't know what it's like, over there in the West. But for you now, how well did your education prepare you for what you're doing now at Microsoft?
That is an interesting question too, because I don't know. I think it did, but I will say this. So I took an interesting career route to get here. I originally got a psychology degree and I was doing child welfare, my first job out of university. And I did that for 3 years and decided that's not something I wanted to do with the rest of my life. While it was um, emotionally rewarding, it was also emotionally stressful. It was a really kind of hard job, and it didn't pay a lot. So I kind of decided that if I wanted to still live in Chicago area where I'm from and be able to have a family and afford to live, I needed to make more money. So I left that job and I moved to a couple different jobs, and I finally ended up doing like payroll support for a company called ADP, which is one of the largest payroll processing companies in the world. And while I was there, I used their tuition reimbursement program to go back to school and get a job and IT basically. I can't remember I went back to school and got a second bachelor's degree in IT, so information technology, and then from there I transferred into like a web development job, developing websites for our benefit enrollment customers, so that their employees could go on and pick their medical, dental, vision, life insurance, and all that, and have that information sent to the carriers so that they knew they were covered, the government so that they knew that they had health insurance and those kind of things. And as a side job, I started doing SharePoint because that's how we managed our projects. And nobody else wanted to do it. And then from there, I went SharePoint. I moved to another company that wanted a SharePoint developer. At the time, those were hard to find, so they were willing to give me a shot. And then through the community work that I did with with the conference I was doing called SharePoint Saturday Chicago, I met some people who worked for a consulting company that wanted me to join there. So then it was some consulting companies. And then I finally ended up at Microsoft because I think it was a lot of the community and my name being out there and just meeting and networking. So as far as that goes, I think the education was important because it gave me a base to at least understand programming and information technology. But as I said, I have had to be continuous learning. So that might have helped too. Whether or not your degree, so to speak, is in information technology, you have to know how to learn, right? And for some people, they don't even need university to do that. They just dive into the technology and get really good at it. For a lot of people, they don't know that, or that's not the choice. I think that's the important part, though, for people who are coming up now is to figure out how to learn and then do stuff to demonstrate that you know what you're doing, right? So are that blog articles? Are those adding to GitHub? Is it networking? Doing that, and then a lot of it, like I said, is for me has been the advancement of my career has come from doing the networking and community stuff. That I actually know people, can talk to people. When you're looking for a position, you've got a good base of people to reach out to. So I think that is every bit as important as the education, and then obviously being able to do the job when you get there.
Thank you very much for how you answered that. For some people, they don't have that background in computer science, for instance, so they just stumbled upon IT. For some, they picked it up after school,
Right.
and for some, to maybe they're looking for a change in career. But it's good to know that at least in your case, you have that solid background that really prepared you for what you're doing now. All right, Craig. So my last question for you is about what you love the most and what you love the least about your work, right? I know many of the guys at Microsoft really love what they do, but sometimes there's just this aspect of our job that we're not so passionate about. So I want to ask, what do you enjoy the most about your job currently at Microsoft, and what do you enjoy the least?
So what I love most about it is it's Microsoft. I guess it's a really good company to work for.
You
So
can say that again.
there's a lot of job security here. If you're decent at what you do, right, you don't have to worry about the company going out of business or anything like that. Which in these times, IT not necessarily, but things that you have to worry about when you have a wife and kids and family. I want to be able to support for them. And the people here are top notch. Like they're really good at what they do. Um, and just the kind of learning with the customers, working with the customers, learning the cutting edge of technology, getting to see some of the stuff of where Microsoft is going with virtual reality, and where they're planning on going with like modern work and more communication and all that is really cool. So I think that's the best part, right? Being just passionate about the technology and getting to use it and being on the cutting edge of things. And then what I enjoyed least about it would be, um, that's an interesting question because it's also, what's possible, but then you have customers that don't want to do what's possible, or they want to lock everything down, or, there's always budgeting constraints. Well, we would like to do this, but we're not going to, or so that can be frustrating. And then for me, I think on a personal level, I moved from a job that was more of an architect role, so I was overseeing a lot more. Um, I had like a whole team of people. Like I would architect out the solution, and I would work with developers and stuff to help them implement it. And when I moved to Microsoft in the current position I have, I still work with a team, but it seems to be it's more me by myself. So I kind of miss the managing of a team and people that I had. But hoping to eventually move back into that kind of a role. So, but it's pretty good. I think the part that it becomes hard sometimes too is at least the pressure you put on yourself to know that you should know everything, and that's hard to get by for a lot of people at Microsoft. Is just kind of you always have to be learning whether you want to or not. Sometimes you don't want to, right? It's just like I wish I just knew this, but or the rate of change. Like I said, it's great that you're on the cutting edge, but sometimes it's like they call it the bleeding edge for a couple of reasons too, because it's not always the technology is not always perfect when it gets rolled out, and then you have to explain that to customers, right? Well, this is what, and I don't have a lot of. We have some contact with the product group, but I can't just go, hey, the customer didn't like this feature. Can we do something with that? And so you got to act as that middleman sometimes.
Thank you so much, Craig, for your time on the show today. So, but just before we close out, my question for those that will be watching this at a later time now is for them to tell us, to tell me right in the comment section what they love most about their job and why, right? And if there is anything you'd like to ask Craig, please do put it down in the comment section, and I'll try to get Craig to make time to answer them. Like this video if you find it useful, and please subscribe if you haven't done so already. So it's a Tech Talk with Kazeem on YouTube. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.